This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
8:20 on August 6th.
Yeah.
It's been a couple of months since we met, believe it or not, and our last set of minutes to be approved is from June 11th. So I'll ask for a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have a number of invoices. Again, this is a couple of months worth of invoices, but we'll go through them one by one. They should have their package that was sent with your email. The first one was Gilbane, invoice 39, for an amount of $16,087.37. Is there a motion to accept?
I'll make a motion. Second.
Any discussion? This is much less than we're used to seeing from Gilbane.
And down to the nitty-gritty.
Usually there's 2 zeros at the end.
Yeah, it's just the release retainage. It looks like on the painting contract, so as they're closing out paperwork from the kind, I think that we only have 1 or 2 left. That I know the mechanical, and then maybe the roofer is left over. So
Yeah, Jim,
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
don't have it, that's why they're not gonna go.
Perkins Eastman, 49970.08.0-3, $3,910.
No.
I'll make a motion.
That looks like their normal.
that's just a few hours for Joe Banks.
Is there a second?
I'll second. Chuck, I just have a question for you.
Yes.
As we start to close out and release retainage,
Yep.
we still have many items that are unresolved.
Like deferrable items you guys have discussed.
Like
Yes.
some of the things that the fire marshal, the fire chief had
Yeah.
brought up, some of the things in the gym floor, some things regarding doors and lighting.
Yes.
and
Yep.
What motivation do we have if we continue to release retainage and close out people? What motivation do we have to wrap this project up?
Oh, for leverage? Yeah, I mean, there's still, for example, on Gilbane's contract, I'm showing $1 million left unpaid on their contract. Some of it is CM contingency, some of it's fee. So there's still quite a bit being held there. Some of, like you said, the doors and egress lighting, these are ones that have come up afterwards. They built that according to the contract documents. These are things that the fire marshals requested afterwards, which we see often, like the egress lighting, some exit signs for that. With regards to, I'll say, work that may be warranty, there's not a lot of issues out there that I'm aware of that are either workmanship or warranty type issues. It's more after the fact modifications for the most part. We got some mechanical issues we're dealing with, but for the most, everything's been resolved. But we still have money left over. I'm showing a little over $1 million left over in their contract that's unpaid at this point. So, respect to the retainage, just so everybody knows, Gilbane does have a master checklist of items that they have to get from all their contractors. It's closeout documentation, release of all their lien waivers that they're responsible for getting and holding. They send all that documentation to us that we have to sign off for that as well. So.
That money that Gilbane, still have on Gilbane, does that include the money for MJ Daly?
Yes, they have, and
So that's
we're withholding $400,000. Actually, about 513 combined. They have 2 bid packages, and there's a total of 513,000 that's being held. Say well over $500,000 on MJ Daly, and there's a little bit left over on. There's 130,000 on the roofing contractor, and a little bit on Civitil, I think, for the staining of the.
Yep.
So.
The staining actually looks good.
So the stonework?
Staining on the
Window lintels.
window ledges.
So there's quite a bit, and the closeout, besides those, the other item, well, when we go through the invoices, I'll do an update on the
Yes.
bleaching orders.
All right, we have the,
I made a motion here.
and it's been seconded, I believe. Any other discussion? So, all in favor? Any opposed?
That includes that.
Okay, thank you. Next one is Perkins Eastman invoice 49970.13.0-9 for $1,624.50. And this is, looks like meetings with Joe Bags, post occupancy report.
Yeah.
Is there a
You recommend
motion to
approval.
accept?
Yes, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Perkins Eastman invoice 49970.13.0-10, $962.50. Again, this is
Just 5 hours for.
site visit
Joe's
for
mistake.
concrete staining.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? SBS or Colliers, invoice 21715 for the amount of $1,137.69.
I'll make a motion.
Looks like all Chuck.
Yeah, primarily my efforts. Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? We have a few of these, the Connect Computer Service, these are old leftovers that apparently slipped through the cracks somehow.
Yep.
And they're both all from September, October of last year, of November. And the first one is invoice 149652 for $783.75. Motion to accept.
I'll make a motion.
For a second.
Chuck, you guys had a chance to review this.
Yeah, and these are,
Snap on.
yeah, these ones came in recently that weren't processed. I went back, I looked at my system, I didn't have those. We're finalizing the network equipment in the building, so.
See, it's like travel time and some labor hours.
Yeah, and this is for computer service, so TT Comp is the one that we listed them.
Were they submitted on time when the work was being done?
The invoices?
Correct.
They may have been, Dave, they might have got caught up either in, possibly in purchasing or the finance department sometimes. And I think these ones just got lost in the shuffle. I didn't have a record of them. I mean, frankly, they could have been in the email somewhere, but we didn't have these as approved, so.
These all went to the IT department here instead of the IT department for the school, for the town.
Yeah.
And
And
so directly.
they do other services for the Board of Ed as well, so they might have gotten mixed up with Board of Ed work versus project work, so.
I'll second.
Your motion to accept?
We have a first and a second.
First and second.
All in favor?
Here we go.
That's right.
You're getting a little rusty there.
It's been too long. No, it hasn't been too long.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Same deal with this one, Connect Computer Service, for the amount of $1,361.25.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Connecticut Computer Service, invoice 150346 for $453.75. Your motion to accept?
Motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Connecticut Computer Service, invoice 150554 for $1,402.50. Your motion to accept?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? BVH, invoice 2114-135-21 for $1,936. And this is commissioning, correct?
Correct, both these, yep, commissioning.
And they still have some work to do, don't they?
They're just doing final closeout for the commissioning, and they'll have a final report that they have to do. They are,
A little question with BVH and their responsibilities to checking the equipment, the setup of the equipment, the way it was done. Are they responsible to make sure that the equipment was programmed correctly, set up correctly? Factory controls are taken off, now being run by our system. What is it they're exactly commissioning?
well, they are, though, as a commission agent, they are responsible for overseeing the startup of all those units. Now, how far we get into the weeds on that, Phil, I don't want to follow up on that. I don't claim to be an expert on the commissioning side, but
We're just finding things that were still factory set and not to the way the spec should have been, or the way the
well, that's
spec
where we have
was
to get,
written.
that's where we have to get DTC involved as well as the designer. It's not solely on the commissioning, it's a obviously a combined conversation.
I understand,
so.
but it's, you know, we're a couple of years in.
Mhm.
We're having a lot of problems with the units running correctly. Now we're into the point where, well, geez, there's no warranty. That warranty, you know, was whatever. And, you know, I have daily sending people from the factory out telling me, well, you know, these units were built in 2016. Says they're not in warranty. I said, well, I don't care when they were built. When did we receive them? When did we take charge of them? To me, that's when our warranty should be starting, not when they were built.
Right.
Correct, I mean, I wouldn't listen, if the factory person comes out,
I understand
they're gonna
that.
say what they're gonna say. Our warranties with Gilbane, and ultimately through the subs. And if they're saying, okay, hey, there's some factories or whatever, the key thing is getting written reports, and I think we got a couple, you know.
Yeah, which I don't know, I haven't seen the last one, the guy from the factory was out
For the gym units.
for the gym units a week and a half ago or so, so I haven't seen anything on that. I know we have stage 1 compressor down
Yep.
in the small gym. No one told me what's wrong with it, they just overrode it and went to stage 2, which is working fine, but
That
I
doesn't
still
resolve
haven't
that.
heard. I beg your pardon?
But, well, overriding isn't gonna necessarily fix it.
Yeah, right, they bypassed it, they basically shut compressor 1 off, and we're running on compressor 2 basically, which is stage 2. So what's wrong with compressor 1, I still don't know, it's been several weeks.
All right, so what I think, Nick, we need to follow back up. We've done this multiple times with MJ Daly. I think it's another follow-up, you know,
Which,
dragging them in again.
because they drag their feet,
Yep.
they don't come, they're on another big job, they forgot about us, that they worked on for 2 years, and now we're like, you know.
So what do we have to do? We have to meet with them? Is there, do we have
So
to?
on the gym units, the main gym unit, the 2 condenser fan motors have been ordered, are supposed to be delivered by the end of next week and replaced. And we said end of next week, last week, so that would be the end of this week. And while they're out there, they're gonna be chasing, there's a low charge on one of the circuit 1 on the condenser. So they're going to be chasing that down.
So they don't know if it's a
With
leak
aircon.
or if it just wasn't filled correctly to begin with. Which is things that.
But why are we having these
It was
problems so
operating
soon?
properly though, so the fact that it's low on charge now leads them to believe that there's a leak in the system somewhere.
Okay, which is why I say what's BVH's.
Well, that's the startup of them seeing, you know, making sure, because, you know, before they even come out of commission, there's these, they call them pre-functional, pre-startup checklists that MJ Daly and the subs are supposed to go through.
Which
and
they
say
do.
that, and I believe those are all been completed, and BVH has come at them, and they come out, and they gotta confirm that those are complete before they come out, so, I think it's, we have to bring, I'll say, the collective team together, not just BVH, but also have DTC involved, as well as MJ Daly and us in that, to,
Okay.
not people touching that system per se and confirming it.
Yeah, if you want the design team involved, give us whatever reports that you've been giving. We haven't seen anything, so we'll need some time and we'll need to be able to look at the
I guess
documentation.
they go to Gilbane, because I haven't seen them either.
Yeah, it's just, we need information if we're gonna get involved.
Those parts that need to be replaced, though, why did they go bad so soon? You know, those
I
seem
don't
like
know.
those were items that should last a long time.
Oh, yeah, those usually have longer warranty.
Heartbeat.
Is there any
Associated
expense to us for those part replacements?
No.
Oh, those
It's under
gym
warranty.
units are under warranty.
And a lot of the units in the HVAC, I'd have to go look at the spec, a lot of those usually get specified for a longer than a 1-year warranty. A lot of those are maybe 5, sometimes 10, depending on the component itself for it, so.
So to Phil's point, what role does BVH have in all of this?
Well,
Do we
they're-
pay them? Do we hold up their pay? Do we?
No, I mean, no, I wouldn't hold, I certainly wouldn't hold these up. I mean, the commission agent is there to, as a quality assurance, assure that, you know, they've gone through all the startups and they've gone through, if there's a warranty issue, it's exactly that, it's a warranty maybe with the parts and components. If there's a leak somewhere, again, should they have found it, I wouldn't necessarily say that, but we'd like their input. I wouldn't hold their payment up because of this. This is more workmanship with MJ Daily and the contract than it is.
And/or the units coming from the manufacturers,
manufactured.
which is something that DCC should be involved in because they should know what's going on with these units if we're having quality issues
Is it a
with the
specific
manufactured units.
manufacturer issue? Maybe we had problems maybe with other, they had experience with other projects.
So should none of the settings be factory settings once they are put in place?
It all depends.
It depends on the units. There's
So
all
some-
different types of, and the units have multiple settings for multiple
So
things.
something being on a factory setting still doesn't necessarily mean it was something that needed to be
Correct.
changed from that setting.
And, you know, the units had all been started up by the factory reps. MJ Daily did not do their own, they didn't do their own startups. Factory reps came out to do startups. Now, whether those factory reps were doing what they were supposed to be doing, yeah. But there's a lot of points along the way.
And any settings that are made or changed by MJ Daily or anybody along the way, are those documented, the changes that are made? So you know, like,
They, if they're, I mean, there's control sequencing on these systems that is already, it's in the specification from the design team. That goes into shop drawings, it has to be submitted through these MJ Daily.
no, I mean like along the way in the past year or something, if someone comes out and tweaks,
Well,
are those things recorded what was tweaked, or they can just?
they may or may
have
not, it
carte blanche
depends. I
and-
mean, and this is where, as you're going into occupancy, Phil's calling his, ABS is your controls, right? So they're the controls contractor for the town, and I think they're also the controls for the project. So,
Which runs into a little bit of a problem for me.
yeah, and
Because-
so,
Only because, and ABS is wonderful, they do
Yeah,
they
they're
do a
great.
great job, but I can't talk to them about what they do for the contractor that hired them to do the work there.
the answer is it should be,
She can-
Michelle.
she-
Are they
Gilbane
always?
can ask.
Well, I was just
But
trying
I
to think if
can't
you could get to the root of the problem,
Mhm.
based upon when something got changed, and perhaps that's what caused the issue. And, you know, if you say it's been going on for X amount of time, well, we had somebody in there,
There's one.
Yeah, and trace it through in the history.
There's one thing I would be very trustful in, is the fact that the gentleman that's working on the system from ABS would not change something that would screw up our system. He's probably one of the best.
No, the ABS is one of the best controls contractors out there, if not the best, so there's no doubt about that.
I just thought if there was a way in which to pinpoint when you started having the issues and what got changed.
Yeah, and there's the report, these building automation system, building management systems have all these logs, and that's the logs that Joe's referring to. And they go back and they can see the history of the performance on these. That's where it goes to the commission agent, it'll go to the design team as well as the project team, and that's a collaborative effort, what's going on here for that. But the answer is, it should.
Well,
you know,
maybe we need to look at those to see when, because if
We have
you were
pulled some on-
performing if it was performing correctly, if we're saying it performed correctly from the start,
Yeah.
and we started having issues,
Well, like the gym issue, that's what we pulled. That was one of the requests to pull the report from the gym units. That just happened last week, and you requested, hey, can we pull the reports from
Okay.
the system so we can review it and take a look at it and go, did the setting get, it shouldn't have gotten changed theoretically. But like I said, compressor, there's so many components to it. Complicated system.
All right.
I wouldn't hold up the commission.
Okay, BVH, is there a motion to accept?
we have to
With-
do the motion
I'll
first.
do a motion, 19.
That's what I said. I said that right, didn't I?
Who knows? Keep going. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Thanks.
Aye.
Aye.
Just trying to
Any
make
opposed?
things.
This is another BVH for June 24th through July 21st. Invoice 2114135-22 for the amount of $2,010.
I'll make a motion.
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
Discussion on this one? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Minute one.
Primary electric. Oh no, I'm out of order.
That's it.
Capacitor restoration. This is the, we approved this early on, or well, back a few months ago. This is the exterior sign. This is the final invoice for the work. Capacitor restoration, invoice 996 for $18,760. Your motion to approve?
I make the motion.
Too late
You
now,
sleeping?
right? Second.
I'll second.
It looks great. I think they did a great job, so, it's,
What had we approved initially?
I think it was this.
But approve the cost quote.
The quote.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I had a flooring expert come out and look, that's WFI, look at gym floors. The invoice is 1016 for the amount of $990. I sent his report in the package to everybody. Is there a motion to accept?
Make a motion.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
We're gonna talk about that in a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Further, yeah.
Now, primary electric, this is, they gave a quote of $2,200 and $120. I gave them the go-ahead. This is to do the aisle lighting in the auditorium for the design spec that was provided,
How much was it again? I'm sorry.
22,120. And it also includes the two new exterior lights.
So what is the spec again? How is this setting up? Is this,
The aisle lighting,
but it's gonna be on the ground?
yeah.
Yeah, it goes along as you're walking down, it'll be either side, it'll be a thin strip, LEDs, it'll be like an amber, so it's not intrusive during a performance, but you can clearly see the path. It's like going through an airplane, similar to that.
And that's the exterior lighting on the west side of the gym.
Jenny, the one that Lou brought up on the gym? Yeah,
Oh, that includes that?
Yeah,
yep.
that's a great number.
We were figuring
What we
15 to
got
18 for that system in the
Right, just the
auditorium.
auditorium we looked at.
Was
That
40, was like 42 they wanted.
What's the lighting on the gym?
On the exterior wall of the gym, we have a
Couple wall
dark
racks.
spot basically, between the high school and the gym.
That back
The
corner,
dumpsters are, now over on west side.
in the fields.
Primary-
How is that
that a
down?
problem?
How is that fixed? How are those little lights? Where-
They're secured right into the floor, so there's a profile to them that they're kind of modular, and they snap into each other, but they'll get screwed in from underneath. You won't see any exposed. It's underneath the lighting system. It's like a
So they're into the
threshold.
concrete?
It's into the concrete, it's right into the floor, and it matches right into your carpet. But you won't see the fasteners. All you're gonna see is the light and a little, an edge to it that tapers down onto the floor.
And is that something that has its own on-off switch? Like, how does that?
They'll stay on, basically stay on constantly. Yeah, they're LED, they'll stay on constantly, so
How do you
lights on
replace? How do you replace?
Snaps out. the strip that they snap into stays in the ground, and the LED itself will snap out because it clipped together, and if you ever had to replace them, which...
Yeah, it's probably got a profile like this, and it'll snap right in, and then you pull it out, so.
So not
Is there-
difficult to replace?
Is there an ability to attenuate the amount of light?
They're very, very low. Once you see them in there, and we actually went to another school where we installed them with a fire marshal, and Gary went and checked them out, and they're very non-intrusive. I mean, you see them, but when you're looking at the performance, it's not like glowing up.
Just illuminates the...
Just enough to get you to the door where
So
you need
he
to
gave
be.
his blessing to these exact same ones that we're using, because I don't want them to be installed and then be told that they're not acceptable. So do we know
That's a
for
spec we
sure?
use. I took the catalog cut from the other project and sent it through the design
And
team.
he
that's
saw,
what we
you
use.
said he was there in person, saw the
Yes,
lights
East
at
Hampton
another
High
school?
School. East Hampton High School is where we installed them,
Okay.
and they're a nice system. They're a very good system.
I just don't want us to spend all this
Come
money
back
and then it
again
be
and-
unacceptable.
Yeah, no, we brought the fire marshal up to East Hampton and
Okay.
spoke with their fire marshal up there, and
Full Jim Council.
Well,
so we were
it
able to
needs
see an
be done.
existing condition.
We were required to do
Yeah.
it, so.
Yep.
And this company is already under contract with the town to do electrical work throughout the town. So that's why we were able to, and that may be why we got a good price on it too.
When are
So-
they able to do this?
They're doing it in the next week or two. They've been waiting for they had to order the materials.
Wait for delivery.
Yeah. Is there a motion to accept?
I make the motion.
All second.
Any other discussion?
You don't want to make motions so you take my job? You don't need me, I can leave.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have change orders, OCO 13 and 14. These again are the compilation of the different change orders that were approved in the past. Chuck, you want to, anything on these?
Yeah, so these are just basically contracting formally approving. We already approved all the actual individual change orders for these. This is just a formal contracting between the town and Gilbane for the owner change orders. We've seen many of these. We've checked these against our values. We're okay with it. The only one that I did note, I think is, I noticed it was the volleyball post in the main gym, and the approved value that we had was $403 that you approved, and the actual value came in at $747 on that. So I just wanted to make a note on that. We don't take an exception to it. It just was a different value than
I think it's noted right on the OCO.
yeah.
Different price or more needed?
It's higher by $344.50.
The other one was ATP 243, that one came in at $1,000 less, so.
Yeah, some come less, some come over, but I just want to make sure you're aware of it before approving. But we don't take any exception to these. And then the number 14 was pretty simple. That was just that's the drains in the auditorium. That's all that covers. So I think once these are complete, these are the only PCOs that are outstanding that have been approved so far.
Was that additional drain put in?
There's an issue with the location, I'm meeting them out there on Thursday. But it's being actively worked on.
All right, is there a motion to accept OCO 13?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second. Now we're back.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Now OCO 14, a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second?
Discussion on that one? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, so the official business that we need to get approvals on this done. Now there's a number of items that we need to discuss, and number one being right now is the gym floor situation. The inspection, really there wasn't any magic here. It's pretty much what we all suspected from the inspection. The cause of the issue seems to be the change in the atmosphere of that room is now air conditioned. And also, according to what he's saying, is that the previous condition was just, there was so much sealer on there, it just locked in whatever moisture was in that material, regardless of what the atmosphere was. So it didn't move. Now,
I had a discussion with him when I was walking through with the gentleman. Basically what he's saying is the present floor and the urethane that we used, every board is going to shrink 1/16 of a millimeter, whatever it is. But he believes what's happening is, and he had some name for it.
edge
something
bonding.
that some of the urethane is holding 3 or 4 boards together, so they're all moving in unison, which is creating a bigger space, simply put. So instead of each board being able to expand and contract by itself, the amount of the urethane that we put on there and the type of urethane we use, holding maybe 3, 4 boards together in one spot, not in another spot, and you're just getting a bigger space because 3 of them are moving in unison, 4 of them are moving in unison. Basically,
But whatever we used last time
Simplicity
didn't
of
let
it.
any of them move and we didn't have the problem. So
Well,
either
because you
need
had
stronger
you
urethane
had
or.
60 years of it.
So we either need more coats of polyurethane so that everything stays together? I mean, is that an option?
No,
At this point, you have an air conditioning system, you have an HVAC system in this, like we've been saying before. You know, so when Phil went to school, when you stripped it down to bare wood and you redid it, there was nothing there to dry it out, even though the polyurethane was gone and the boards were exposed. It was exposed for a week at most to do restriping, or maybe
Right.
2 weeks, you know, not enough to
get that
take that relative humidity out of those boards. Then once, you know, we sanded and those systems were going, that it's relative, I mean, it's probably 60-70%, I guess, I'm guessing.
I think the real issue, you know, it's gonna, even if it shrank normally, if it didn't have the edge bonding between the boards, it would have been even. And wouldn't, like right now, it's very
Right.
random pattern. And that, it makes sense, once he started talking about that, I said, oh, that makes sense. That's why this happened.
So what do you do about it?
Well, I'm looking into, you mentioned, you ran to Ed Coleman.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm reaching out to a colleague, Ed, he's one of our construction reps, worked on a project, and I guess Gary ran into him, and he mentioned something about they've done a filler on other projects. I gotta talk to him about it and see what they did. My initial thought is that's a little concerning to do wood filler in these type of floors.
Yeah.
I don't, my first reaction is I wouldn't do that, but I gotta find out more.
What if is there a way to separate the boards that have bonded together through the,
Try to redistribute them.
I don't know if it can do that at this point. I don't know, I got the same thought, Joe, I think that.
you guys are shaking your head no, I mean,
I don't think you can go to each piece, there's so many that you would have to go to do that. I don't know how
Yeah,
that.
I think your labor to do that almost
It's
offset.
also the issue of damaging the floorboards while you're trying to sort of pry them apart.
could you sand the boards back down to take the finish that's presently off and allow them to?
To acclimate. I think that's what you would have to do if anything.
What he's talking about with edge bonding, I mean, if these are 2 floorboards that are next to one another, the adhesive is between them
Yeah.
rather than above, so I don't know that resanding wouldn't change that bonding that you're talking about. Possible, but I don't know.
Or you'd have to get those apart somehow, and I'm not sure how that would be. You know, if they were bonded edge, you know, you sand it, release it, you have to get these, almost like re-loosen them all up like you would if you're putting in a new flooring where they, you know, they'll distribute them out, let them acclimate for a
Yep.
couple days.
Yep.
Then you pull them back.
Right.
My guess would probably have a pretty good cap on the longitudinal edges. We're probably just filling that.
And you gotta take into consideration the type of tracking system that's underneath it.
Yeah.
It's a metal track that's adhered to the concrete, which has a strip of wood inside it, which is then, you know, basically what I would call a cat, but it's not just a straight wood cat. So the metal's attached to the ground, concrete, there's a wood center, and then they nail the
Sounds
boards to
labor
it.
intensive anyway, okay.
I mean, obviously, the cost to replace it is very high. Does it make any sense to sand the whole thing down all over again, strip it all down like you're taking it down to bare wood, and then fix the floor again? Because now it's all acclimated, the shrinkage has stopped, right? So if the shrinking has stopped, why can't we now fix it like it was a floor that needed to be fixed? Re-shellac it, re-stripe it, what's the cost on that versus the cost of a new floor?
Well, I think that's a good question, Dave. I think we should do that, and I think, I don't know what that is, that's the answer, we can check on that, but I think my initial gut feeling, and seen this before, I think that's gonna be a Band-Aid fix, not a long-term fix for you, in all honesty, because you're trying to make this one work, it served you well, and we tried to save some money with it. In hindsight, we all probably look back and go, okay, we probably should have put a new one in.
It's a good thing, isn't it?
I was just gonna say,
Yeah, I mean-
she's going, I told you so.
But to spend that labor on an existing floor and taking into what Phil said, you know, sometimes you're probably gonna spend more money on a new floor, but to get it and put it in right, put it in correctly from day one, brand new floor, then you're talking I'm just thinking long-term capital costs down the road.
That would be in both gyms, small gym and big
I
gym?
think you're probably looking at both.
And what's
you
the
know.
number we're talking?
We'll have to look at that, Dave. I'll work with Carrie and we'll.
He still thinks that the floor.
Bye-bye, track.
He still thinks the
Bye-bye.
floor might still move and close up.
Well, I'm saying, do you want to wait a little while?
Not
and
close
see
up
what it does?
completely, but he still feels that that floor is gonna still move and those spots are gonna close up.
And when that does, do we put another coat on?
Quick.
Because if it keeps moving
Maybe
like
two or
3
three.
times.
Maybe 2 or 3.
If
Well,
it's gonna close, it's gonna close this time of year right now. This is the best, the best situation.
With your new system I have, I don't think it's going to close up.
Has that
high.
been,
I don't think
air
it's gonna
conditioned in
really-
there?
Relative humidity is the
This year?
same.
Well, it's been
Should be.
continuous while the equipment was working. Well, it had gone probably a week or 2 without it working, so it.
So that's not long
you-
for a
So,
week.
well, you're not gonna get much more human than it was in there for that week or 2 that the equipment wasn't up.
Is it
How does
dangerous
it
for
look?
children to be in there presently, in its present condition?
No. Dangerous?
Yeah, dangerous.
No.
I don't think
Is
so.
there a
Space is
risk
not-
of
space is
falling,
not that
a risk of tripping? Is it not a place where we want our middle school kids having a gym activity?
No, I don't believe
It's
so.
flat.
It's
just you have gaps in the board.
Well, I don't doubt that it's flat, I recognize that.
Well, you have maybe an 1/8 gap. I don't see any, maybe, I don't even think any of them come to a 1/4 of an inch. But I don't think those gaps would make anyone trip or get stuck in or anything like
I think
that.
it's probably more of a visual.
It's definitely.
You know, you look from the end line and it's easily apparent.
But you have to look forward to see it.
No, you see it. pretty-
Some of them are pretty obvious. You know, some of them were pretty good. They might have closed up since, but the last time we looked at it, it was pretty obvious. I mean, I've never seen a floor like that unless we're just putting it in. They're pretty
I
wide.
haven't checked it, I didn't check it last week, but I didn't get a chance to get there last week.
Yeah,
It's not a 50-year floor.
Hmm?
It's not a 50-year floor.
We're only gonna be
need
refinish,
another
refinish it and
Another
do it so many
50.
times. There's only so much thickness to the
I mean, the
wood.
other things to consider too, I mean, is if you go through the whole sanding and everything else like that, there's really no guarantee that that's gonna fix the problem. You know, it's a guess, maybe it would work, maybe it wouldn't.
I think you'd have to reset those boards and they'd probably pull in and then have to patch probably, I'd
So
say go
any
to the,
patching that's done on that.
push them
floor
all
is
towards the bleacher sides,
extremely
and
hard
then
to
pull those out.
process.
On one side.
We had a really hard time achieving the patching on that floor, just based on the size.
the system.
The system, they no longer manufacture new boards in that thickness and that configuration.
The cross section's different.
They just,
Probably be a custom.
it was, they struggled.
Yeah, and they were really good too.
Yeah, those guys they know what they're doing, they're not amateurs.
So we can look at the labor cost, the question is, can you even do it? And is it even that the right solution? I don't know if that's the.
So we need some numbers.
Yeah, we can work on some numbers and, I mean, we had the number for the whole, for both of them, brand new. I mean, basically looking at that
It's gonna
number.
change because
Escalated a little bit and we gotta take out bleachers.
bleachers.
We can do it, it's just a matter of,
They can replace them around bleachers too.
the question is when do we want it to, when do we want that to occur? I mean, right now, I'm showing 2 $253,000 remaining.
What? You said 253?
253, and that's assuming about
To change it? Oh, that's the balance.
$330,000
To change it?
That's the balance.
Oh.
This is the balance in the project.
Okay, I thought it was the cost of change.
The remaining amount that we're showing, I still have to reconcile a bit with that too. We haven't reconciled in a while. That value is taken into account, some return from Gilbane, about roughly $330,000.
So, I'm sorry, so you think Gilbane's gonna give back 330,000?
That's what it's estimated to be. They
But we
have,
have, included in your number of 250 is 330?
correct. That is
So
correct. That's all
250 is
taken
less
into
than
account.
330?
Correct,
So we're running,
Into that.
Well, yeah, I know what you're saying, that if we didn't account for the 330, we'd be on the negative side. We were already counting some of that into that.
I wasn't aware that we were ever on the negative side.
We're not negative because we wouldn't get a number back from Gilbane on CM return until they're comfortable with where they're at. We did that very late for that $330,000.
So you've been carrying that 330 for a long time?
I've been carrying, no, only a couple months,
And it's been going up as we've reconciled.
Yeah, I mean, in
Trade
this
contracts.
invoice packet, you could actually see where the remaining contingency itself is $300,736, and there's some owner allowances that haven't been used, a little bit of CM fee associated with that, so that number's pretty close on that, but that does take that into account, Joe, yes.
Do we have any idea roughly what, I know it's gone back quite a ways, but what was the number if we had done the floors new? Do we
That was like
recall?
266 or 250 in that range.
There goes it all.
You know, we saved 160,000, I think the number was.
There's only gym flooring there, wood flooring Kemba was $226,000, and I think that's all they were the two gyms. That was our original contract, was
Original was
226.
226, and we say, we reduced it by 130.
Yep.
I think based on the information we had at the time, and the hopes that we had, and the report that we had regarding the gym floor, I think this was a reasonable attempt to save a good chunk of money.
David, I agree with that completely. I don't regret it. It's just unfortunate.
Yes, too bad, but I feel like we made a good decision at the time.
Absolutely.
Just didn't work out.
We could have sat there and told you, oh, we think it's gonna shrink. Probably would have made the same decision, was take a shot on it, most likely, so. If I did it,
If you
we did
told
this,
us
this
that that
situation
might
again,
happen,
I'd be
I don't
like,
know
no,
that we would have all
absolutely
been like, yeah, let's do it. It might look crappy, and there might be holes. Yeah, no, I don't think so. If
All
we
right.
knew in hindsight, but, I mean, you do with your best information that you have at the time.
That's all you
I
can
mean,
do.
Yeah,
That's all you can do.
it's just a
All
hard
right.
pill to swallow,
Yeah, so,
expensive pill.
And then I think it's a matter of, it's also a matter of if you do this, when do you want to do it, you know?
And do you want to do both your gyms?
Well, that's the
If
thing, I
you
mean,
have
it's a
a playable
disruption to
surface.
the,
You
especially
just
in
do
the
the
winter
main
months.
gym maybe and leave the
How do you do that in the
auxiliary
winter
gym.
months, when they rely upon the gymnasiums to have their activities and their gym classes? I
we
mean,
really almost have to wait till next summer.
like a summer thing again.
Oh, yeah, I would not.
Yeah.
You would be out of a gym
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
for a while.
For a while.
In hindsight, I'm sure there's a lot of things we would have changed.
Well, maybe we'll know,
I know I
whether or
would.
not the smell that comes
We're not
from the
gonna do it
gym
yet.
is emanating from the wood floors. I mean, we never resolved why it smells in the gym, right? Does it still smell?
I haven't been there in a while, but
I don't believe so.
they didn't even react to that, right, when they checked it out. They were just checking the wood.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't smell it, so you can't go by him.
Can't go by me, or my
Well, maybe
guys.
one more basketball season, we'll pull the
Just give all your
grandparents.
clothes.
All right, so I really don't know what the next step is on this, because it's just,
So do we want to, I would recommend we procure a price to replace your main gym.
Yeah.
Have it by itself, because that's probably the most important. Take it into account, removing bleachers and going right down to the floor. The one concern, I think, would want to set aside some funding for addressing that slab. I'm not sure what we're going to get when we pull that floor up. I don't know what the condition's going to be. I don't know if you guys saw anything, if we saw anything that just a little contingency for that. Again, I don't know, it may be just totally fine, we don't have to do anything.
You're talking about
Open up
environmental.
another can of worms.
Well, just, do we need to clean it? Is it?
There's no
is
hazard.
I know, because you guys had tested, well, you tested in several areas. but-
there may be
Yeah, it was
moisture there, there
tested
could
in
be mold that
several
built up that we don't know about, that we need to clean it or shot blast it or something of that nature, and I don't know. I just don't want to assume we don't have to do anything with it, but
You're
you're
right. I
short-sighted.
mean, digging into something like this, as with any renovation, you may discover stuff that you're not expecting, and so you
And so if we do the main gym, the original contract was $226 for both. If we do just the main gym, hopefully that leaves us some, I'll say contingency, and hopefully we don't have to use it, but.
Because before you had the GMP that basically covered and said, look, it's got to be wood floor, so any of the renovation difficulties were on the contractor. Right now, I don't think that would be the case.
Yeah. Let's start with that, see what the number comes in, do that one. If it comes in, then see what we got left over, and if you want to do your auxiliary, maybe do that later.
Well, let's also
Get
check
pricing
out
on-
the filler.
Check on the
Because that-
filler and.
There's another town in Connecticut that had this similar problem. One of Chuck's colleagues worked on that project, and they had to, what they did was they sanded it all down. They actually put filler in and then resealed it. I don't know when that was, if they have experience with that, how successful that was. We just might need to check that out to see if that's, it was another school in Connecticut.
Phil, for the larger gaps, can you not rip smaller pieces of wood and put them in?
No way to hold them in really, that'll be more dangerous than anything, piece coming up, coming loose, coming free during a game or something like that, I'd be more worried about that.
It's really narrow.
Yeah.
You'd have to see it really, it's just.
I saw the photograph,
The pattern
and
is
I
weird.
understand it, just alternatives of
Yeah.
alternatives.
Yep.
Chuck, can we not get prices on the main gym and the auxiliary gym at the same time? I don't want to, if we're going to do this, I don't think we can do one floor and not the other.
Well, my only concern
Depends
with
on
the
what it costs.
auxiliary, Dave, is we got, let's get them separate, and see where they lie with what you have left over.
But we'll have the option to decide whether we want to do one floor or two floors at the same time.
It's all up to your committee, and basically, yeah, it's 100% up to your committee what you want.
But what you're
to do.
saying is if they find something, then we have to have the money in our
If
budget
it's
to
real close to what you have
remediate.
left over, I wouldn't recommend doing both.
But I don't want you to come back here with a price for doing the main floor and not have the answers as far as
We can
what it
put-
would cost to
it's a
do the
square foot
auxiliary
cost.
gym as well.
Yeah,
Yep.
both,
So we
we
can
can
make
do
that
it together
decision.
and
Well, there's gonna
separate.
be a couple, so we're gonna have,
Right.
total them at one mobilization, and then we're gonna break it out, doing them separately as well, because if they do one at one time, they have to remobilize, so it'll be basically two different costs.
Now, you guys can still, can they bid under the money? In other words, can you put this out as a separate project, but it's replacing this product?
We've done another projects for different types of work where you can go out and competitively bid it again. I mean, it's brand new work basically at this point. Or you say, or you can do it as a change order.
Because Gilbane completed under the GMP everything that they said that they were going to do, so
Yeah.
the scope of work has been added, and you guys get to decide how you procure that.
I think the issue right now is to get an approximate price. yeah,
Good
so
price
that we know
first and
how
go
to
from there and figure out how you
make
want to get it
decisions.
delivered at that point.
All right. We talked about the auditorium aisle lighting, that's in process and should be done soon. The additional exterior lighting, that's in the same contract. The storage shelving in the in the areas, I believe has been completed.
Those are complete. There was a question that came up of, what's the capacity of these shelves? The things, these were never formally designed. They're not made for heavy weight. They're not gonna be. It's just to get the light stuff off the desk so you can use the countertops.
Is this the science?
These are science prep rooms, yeah.
And the special.
And I think when they were building them, one of the staff members, you can't stack boxes of paper and go to the ceiling. It's for light weight.
It's gonna have to be up to Phil and his crew to make sure they don't do that, because
Unless they do intermediate supports that come down on your countertop, but then that defeats the purpose of using your countertop for a prep. These aren't it's not commercial shelving. It's not.
Well, I mean, it's commercial, it's just not because the walls were already in place.
The weight, and usually you'd have supports going all the way to the floor if you really wanted to do some heavy. It's just really to relieve some of the
Congestion.
stuff on the
Clutter.
countertops. And then also the millwork in the special ed closet was installed as well.
All right, backstage exit lighting, this is one, exit signage, this is one of the fire marshal issues. We will
Talk to the electrician.
talk to Primary Electric, who's doing the other work, have those installed. I think there's probably 2 exit signs, right?
Right, yeah.
That should be
Yeah,
pretty
should be.
straightforward.
You don't have prices on that, or
No, I
that
don't.
wrapped into something?
I don't have anything. Stairway railings, Joe, I mean, that was one of the issues. They wanted an additional center stairway,
Yeah.
center railing.
We've looked into it and we agree with Dave Maccarelli.
Where?
Yeah, all 3 stairs, all 3 main stairs.
Up the center?
The
Really?
issue is when you're in an egress situation, human behavior is that, especially when you're panicking or running, you're going to go towards the rail. So even though you have a much wider area in which you can actually egress, people will gravitate towards the rail. And in a situation where there isn't a rail and you've got, say, 200, 250 people coming down, never going to happen realistically. But it's a good idea to have that rail in the middle.
Are any of those rails loose, like the ones that are on the center staircase and the auditorium? Did any of those main staircases loosen like the others? I
Like in the auditorium.
I know in the auditorium, and I know the one that's right outside the library, those have been loose. The main staircases, like off to the ends of the building, have those
They seem to be fine.
loosened?
They seem to be fine. And the one in the middle, for some reason, one of the bolts just came off of the plate at the bottom.
I mean, the issue
That
is
one's been a problem from the start.
6 foot, 6 foot, 6
No,
inches.
no, the actual
No, it's a
screw
bolt.
that holds it down, it's just missing.
And if the authority has
I
jurisdiction,
have
that's for.
one of our kids bring in a wrench and take it off, and I don't know how it's just missing.
It's debatable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when does that have to be done by?
Yeah, what's that gonna cost?
We'll have to get this is new news for us. We'd have to get a proposal request from Perkins with exactly what has to go in there for Gilbane to price it. I wouldn't recommend just getting pricing without the detailing of it, because it's a code issue, and we want to make sure to get that.
So it's a code issue, it can't be a code.
Well, it's got to be built according to code. It's got to have certain extensions that go,
Well, that I recognize.
stuff like that. That's what I meant by that. I apologize.
This wasn't what he was saying, we can't
So
open without, is it?
who would you recommend, who worked on the stair trade on this one?
Our stair trade was,
The lighting in the
Not a very
auditorium,
good
and the
one,
doors.
so that
Not
makes
a
sense.
good one. Okay. Do you have
But it was
a
okay that we
recommendation?
were.
Yeah, your egress at the end, there's the one in the
They
center.
were open.
They got wider stairs.
Well, it's because it was all still part of discussion.
Can you give me a contact there? I just want to talk about it since these would be after the fact.
All right. And who came up with this idea?
I don't know.
Fire marshal is recommending to install these.
Oh, what's that name in the meeting?
But this is the first time that we're hearing of it.
Yeah.
The school's been open with those staircases in use. Why now is my question.
Well, so the thing about any sort of code stuff is the authority having jurisdiction, which is, in this case, the fire marshal, can come through and they can ask for anything.
At any time, when they do
Right.
their walkthroughs, their
And then you can do an
inspections.
appeal process, et cetera, but chances are it's just better.
You're gonna lose, yeah.
The code's the minimum. The key thing is the code is the minimum that's required, right? I mean, they can request above and beyond that.
So this is beyond the minimum.
I think Joe's saying it's debatable. It's a judgment call based upon experience, and you're looking at these wide stairs. And
And
I
would it
think
be a
it's a
double
judgment
railing, like going up and going down, or would
Or
it
a
be one railing?
single-
No, just a single railing through the.
Does the high school have a
I'm just trying to
center?
think of that, Michelle.
No.
'cause Their
I
stairs are
don't
even
know.
wider.
I don't know, they might be a little, are they more narrow, the ones at the high school?
Yeah,
So they don't have a center,
they're more narrow, they have rails on both sides.
but not in the center. I don't
big
think.
stairs.
I don't believe they're in the
No, they're
center.
not the center.
Yeah, It just all depends on the way that we're calculating the egress and so forth. It's, again, could we sit down and untangle it and appeal it and all that other stuff? Yes, but our recommendation is just to put it
It
in
might
this.
cost us more money to appeal it than it would to put the rail in.
Probably.
All right, so, Joe, you,
So we'll
The
talk
design.
with Bill Baines, just so that we understand what they would recommend in terms of how you retrofit one of those things. And then we'll release a bulletin, construction bulletin, and then you guys can take it through the regular process.
There should be no issue getting the same railing, right? Like, so that it all looks, I mean, they're pretty standard.
We can
It'll
make sure
just be
that,
I mean, these are in the stairwells, I wouldn't go anything fancy, just.
No, I think
Yeah.
it should be the same as
Yeah.
what's on the ends, but, you
Yeah.
know,
yeah,
don't wanna look like a hot mess when it's all different.
we can make sure the paint peels off of these too.
Yeah, and they're loose.
something to ride on too.
Yeah, right down the center, yeah.
All right, well, that's not good news. Okay.
I don't think we should have meetings, because all we had was bad news
Yeah.
in this meeting. We were better off when we didn't meet.
Solar panel, and
Oh, God.
they've been preparing on that one, but I don't know how much they can do without the roof drain. So,
Well,
they're all they're both related.
So why-
They're doing all the electrical work, which is what's gonna be intrusive during the school year.
Okay.
So they're running all the piping, there's all the other sections of the roof, they can start mounting, they can load the roof, they can get everything up there, but they can't do the main section, which is on top of the auditorium.
So how all of a sudden did the roof drain location
So
become a bad
That's the day
location?
it's
The
all
roof drain
about.
is,
That's
it's
the-
one
that's
roof
the
drain
people
and it's
you're
over
talking
near
about where
the
installing
hatches,
all
which
this
there
stuff.
would be no solar panels on. And Lindsay coordinated the location with Green Skies, she said, before she left.
I'm sorry.
Before Lindsay went out on leave, she said that she coordinated the location of the one roof drain on the auditorium with Green Skies. And it falls between the hatches above the stage. So there would be no panels mounted in that area. So it shouldn't be holding up Green Skies from doing
I
anything.
was never told that by Lindsay, and that's why I kept telling these guys to talk to Lindsay to coordinate timing.
Yeah, I did confirm with her though, when you said, you sent me the email saying that Green Skies was installing.
Yeah,
So essentially you're saying
Impact
Green
of the
Skies
roof
can
drain.
install over there,
Yeah,
I guess, yeah.
get them back up there.
Well, they're already working.
they were working on
They're-
they have to put in the infrastructure first.
They're there every day.
Putting up the panels is the last step.
Okay.
So who has deemed that it's not the appropriate spot for the roof drain? What happened, what transpired?
So there's some conflicts with the below, with the area below where they need to
The structure.
structure and some duct in the way, where the location that was picked to add the roof drain. So I'm gonna meet them and walk the area and see if we can get to a resolution on it. Because, you know, it's one thing to put it in the perfect spot or put it in a good spot above the roof, but if we can't get the pitch,
Right.
Yeah,
what's the
Are we
point?
still
the
trying,
run
are we
below.
still trying to put in the same, I mean, do we need the same size drains that we've been using? I mean, we're not draining the entire roof because we have other drains, we're just draining a smaller area. If we can change the pipe size to accommodate the need.
he's gonna walk me through the conflict and show me if it's a pipe size change that'll alleviate the conflict, then maybe we'll we'll investigate that.
Right.
I think it's a bit larger of a conflict than just a couple inches.
Usually is, right?
That would be too easy.
Uh-huh.
Do we know after they get everything installed, the solar panels? I know a lot of people say in home situations, once everything is ready to go, it then takes a long time for it to actually become activated. Are we in that same type of a situation, or will it be able to be turned on as soon as it's installed? Do we have any idea?
Yeah, as soon as they're complete, I had a meeting with them last week. As soon as it's complete and tied into our grid, which it has to be tied into the electrical grid and approved and signed off by UI.
Oh, so, not right away.
No, they're all on board with it. And, you know, as soon as it's 100% complete and UI says, okay, it's all good, you tie it in, you
Did
start
they
saving
give any
money.
idea of how long it would take them to get everything installed, and do we have any time frame?
They're saying total completion about the third week in September.
Okay.
And they're looking at approximately maybe up to 15 or 20% on the cost savings for electricity. which I'm sure is always usually exaggerated a little bit, but
I think it's great regardless.
Well,
Absolutely.
considering it costs more now to run the new building, I mean, hopefully you'll end up at least where you were.
Have more money to pay for those floors, yeah.
Oh,
Like a car wash.
we had an issue with the gutters, is that been resolved
Still
with
coming
the?
apart.
It's on the list for Allied Restoration. Alex
Is this some
contacted
project that
to
they
notify
put
them of the warranty item, July 25th, and we'll get a resolution to it.
What's coming apart? They're coming off.
It's like a two or three part gutter system. So the actual gutter system is put up first. It's a kind of a stainless looking piece, and then there's covers that go over it to match the rest of the building. I don't believe when they put the covers on, they put enough fasteners on the covers. Some of the covers kind of hook over and latch on, and then they come down, and then they're either pop riveted or screwed. I just don't think there's enough on it. You get expansion and contraction on that metal. I just think that that's throwing off the rivets. And it's not holding. It's happened on a couple sections of the building already. And it's actually the shield, it's not the gutter itself.
It's the
gutter
cover.
itself is the actual cover system.
And then was that cover for aesthetics, simply for aesthetics, or does it serve another purpose?
Well, absolutely, it's for aesthetics.
Does it prevent other things from getting in the gutter?
No.
No.
Okay. Chuck, any other updates?
Yeah, so we put in multiple requests with respect to the state and try to get this project closed out. We requested multiple times from OSCGR on the response to state change orders. I haven't heard anything from them. It does take them a while. We put in inquiries from our end. Bob, we're going to maybe ask if you could help us put a request in
Sure.
to Costa to request the disposition. We've offered to go up and meet with them if we need to review those and assist them with that review, but they haven't responded. They're limited staff. They have 3 people reviewing all the projects in the state. So that's going to be the longest part that we see typically is getting those lead change orders reviewed. The reason being, if they don't review them, we don't know what the ineligible costs are that they're assigning to the project, and that will hold up our finalization of the project for that. So we are still pursuing that with the state. As I reported, we're looking around $253,000 left in the project. That does account for a return of some contingency as well. And then we're also trying to reconcile, again, or in the process of reconciling with the board of the finance department at Swinkoski as well, just to make sure our books are all up to speed. Sent a couple emails out to some of the FF&E vendors that have some outstanding balances on their POs, just to get them cleaned up for them to make sure we have all the invoices that were submitted. We're pretty confident we do have those, but there's a few that have some outstanding balances. WB Mason is one. So they're looking at those and advising us where they stand on that, so we can close them out if we can.
Okay. Joe, we've got the
Post occupancy.
well, yeah, but the stair railings, I'm concerned about that. So you guys are gonna be doing the specs on that and getting to the lane for,
The pricing is.
will we have to, those will be custom made,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's something that's gonna take some time. All right, post occupancy, I don't know how much detail we want to get into with this, we can do it at another meeting if we want.
Yeah, no, why don't I just do just an overview, and then if you guys have any specific questions, I can answer those. So the post-occupancy study was done, DVH came up with the questions as part of their contractual obligation as commissioning agent to go back through the space once it's been occupied, ask people how it's functioning for them in some very specific areas, including lighting, thermal comfort, security, that kind of stuff. So we put those things together, we put them on a Survey Monkey, and we had pretty good responses. We had over 50 responses from the school, which is, for a survey like this, is a pretty high response rate. Generally speaking, the results were similar to what we would see. So in any space, in any space you see, it's actually part of ASHRAE, which is the agency that governs HVAC systems. You're going to have a certain percentage of people who are dissatisfied with the system, no matter where it is. You know, we've done things like put in dummy thermostats, et cetera. Suffice it to say that you're never going to get anything close to like 80% of people being happy with the temperature in their space. So what we see is reflective of that. A lot of people say that it's too cold. Some people are saying it's too hot, et cetera. Most people say that they're pretty happy with their environment.
You know what would have been telling, Joe? If we had a pre and a post. If you had asked these same people in the existing conditions, you know, these same questions, then I think you'd be able to see what a tremendous difference that there is.
Well, and I think what you see in the comments is a lot of people are saying like, hey, you know, we're really glad to have air conditioning. The elementary school doesn't have it, et cetera, et cetera. So why don't you guys, if you don't have any specific comments, take a look and see if there's anything that you'd like us to follow up on. Once you read the report, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Okay, if we want a more detailed discussion on this, we can do it in another, the next meeting. So, you guys let me know if you want to go into more detail on this information, and we'll do that. All right, Carrie. By the way, I don't know if anybody knows that Lindsay's
Lindsay's out on maternity leave.
Oh, I heard you said something about leave.
As of this morning, she has not had the baby yet.
Oh my God.
That far away.
Jesus, she's been gone for that long, we didn't even know she was pregnant. Oh my
Holy
God.
cow.
You would have never been able to tell. She
Oh.
barely looked pregnant. When you
Good
mentioned
goodness.
that pregnant. So,
Keep us posted.
I will keep you all posted. So she's out of the office on leave for a little bit, and I'll continue to follow up on the warranty items in the gymnasium, the gutter system, that, you know, make sure that we not just correct the issue of where it's occurred, but check the rest of that run of system, just to see if there's, I don't want to be chasing gutter problems for
Let's just check
the next year.
and see if the same problem or the way it was installed, because I know they had different installers for each section of that building.
And it's a different detail in different areas, so, I'll do that with Greenwood. I'll get Joe the Miss Metals contact so he can work on some details for that, and when we get a resolution, I'll get pricing for it. I'm meeting MJ Daly out there for the roof drain install, and we'll get out of the building in time for the start of school on that. We continue to close out trade contracts. As Chuck mentioned, we're down to 2 contractors, Greenwood and who's our roofing contractor, and MJ Daly. And I think before anyone feels comfortable closing out MJ Daly, we need to have a face-to-face meeting with BVH, DTC, and MJ Daly, so that we can talk about the status of the system and review what's occurred to date since turnover on the system equipment, and make sure that all items are resolved.
Okay. And one other question, just open up a can of worms, but did we ever figure out what was happening with the sprinkler in the entryway?
We're still looking, I gotta get somebody that's ball my court
Yeah.
to look at that.
So, the sprinkler itself, I know that we have a quote to repair it, and it's pretty minimal. I'm not sure where Lindsay left that off with you guys as far as getting getting that approved for installation, but I have a quote, so it's nothing more than a day, it's less than a day's worth of
Yeah,
work.
it's just a matter of.
Gary, that should be something that you approve even without us.
Yeah,
mean,
I will.
That should,
Yeah,
don't
I
we think
will.
that should have already been
Yeah.
put back into commission? I mean,
Yeah, we'll, so close that forward with that.
I'll pull that information up and schedule that work.
All right.
Gary, there's something about auditorium doors, what happened?
Yeah, well,
That's part of the fire marshal's.
we have to take the strip off that's between the two doors because they're too hard to open.
I think we talked, did we talk about that?
We can take
We've
the,
talked
so,
about it many
we
times,
can
but-
take the strip off. It's gonna look horrendous when we take the strip off because it's bolted all the way up and down that thing. So it's gonna be a question of,
Can we move the strip to the side, take it off, but reattach it to cover the holes that are gonna be left in that door? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's a 2-inch, I believe it's about a 2-inch strip. So if you take that 2-inch strip and just slide it to the edge of the door itself, so it's not holding the door, it'll look like it's on, and it'll also cover all those holes that are gonna look terrible.
without looking at it in person right in front of me, I will decline to
Is
say
it-
yes, yay or nay to
Is
that.
it through bolted? I don't think it's through bolted.
I don't believe
gotta
it's
check.
through bolted, but
Right.
it's, I know it has a lot of fasteners on
Yeah,
it.
I know.
Well, let's take a look.
I mean, we can remove
I'll
any piece
take-
of hardware off
I
of
think-
it,
I'll
but
take a look at that first. I'm doing a walk through there in a little while
For safety
anyway.
standpoint, we need to remove them, and then we'll take a look at, we'll do
Yeah,
aesthetically
we're gonna need
after
some,
that.
we're gonna need some type of strip on it to aesthetically make it.
I do not think you guys wanna actually replace those doors.
No,
No,
absolutely not, not those doors.
We'll film.
Leftover.
all right.
Doors?
Anything else?
Want
Want to congratulate Goldie
What
on the birth of your son.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. There you go.
Thank you. I'm taking donations for college.
Yes. See, Goldie, we didn't know you were pregnant either.
Really Goldie, good luck with that. I'm still paying.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anybody, any other babies?
No,
Don't even look up.
no, there's not.
All right, next meeting. You know, I think I want to meet in 2 weeks.
You said you want to meet in 2 weeks?
So much.
You can meet in 2 weeks. Just come in and help yourself.
I only wanna meet if there's gonna be answers.
Well,
We're gonna sit down and we're not gonna have.
I got you, but if we don't meet, we don't get answers. So it's
All right,
like,
let's meet in
that's
2
where you have to put pressure on a little bit.
I am
So-
on vacation in 2 weeks.
Well, okay, then there you go.
Going,
I could do the 27th.
That's Cabo Cheese.
Oh, right, Calvin.
And the following week is Labor Day.
Yeah.
So we can do it off cycle, you know, that's, we're working on the
So
special
you want
meetings
to
now
just do it,
anyway.
I'll meet with you, I'll chat with you
Gary,
before.
Sure.
What about you can do it on a Tuesday?
We can do it
Staff.
Oh,
Sure, we get along 20, we'll just chat, we'll just have a conference.
I
with
can
Carrie
give you
and,
my information
Thursday,
in
Friday before.
advance
If you want.
before I leave. Do you need to see my sign?
Up to you.
All right, if we're gonna have it, are we gonna have
The
it?
staircase that needs to.
Are we talking the 20th or
Is
the
it the
27th?
one
20th?
that needs to read?
I'm thinking the 20th, because
It's all three
if
of
we
us.
go beyond that, it
Is
gets
that the
too.
one like?
Gary,
on
really,
side
I
of
mean, the
main-
stair rail really
The
just
main one that
depends
goes to the
on,
library.
you know, timing of getting the
Right in the
information
middle.
back from
That's a
Margaret
good
Easton, so
question.
I can't,
I don't
I can't
have
say
that
whether or
answer.
You don't
not
know
I'll
which
have that
one?
information.
Needs to-
I know it's the 3 exits.
But,
Oh, the extra
I mean,
number one.
I can at least report out on the progress
I'll
that's
ask
been
Chuck
made on the
that
roof
question,
drain
I'm
and
not sure
the.
if it's the main one.
Listen to me, but.
Because I know they had a question about.
Let me do this, you know, just a question about, I think we'd like to get the railing information at the same time as at the meeting.
What?
So if you can if you look at your schedules and see what people will be able to get that information to the committee is, and then we can.
Question about that railing system in the center stairwell. Does that affect the center stairwell also?
No.
So it's just the sides of the building.
But there was a question on the lower 3 stairs by the fire marshal. And the fact that there was no railing on the lower 3 stairs. Once you get off the staircase itself and you do that little landing and it spreads out, I thought they had asked for something in the center there also.
I'm not sure it was the fire marshal, I think it was somebody else, I think it was a staff member. The thing about that center stairs, it's not an egress stair. So there are no fire code rules that are applied.
It's not as wide as the other one.
Yeah, it's also not as wide.
And going back to that sprinkler, I know we've been saying this for months. You can't find somebody to, give an answer as to what transpired up
Freeze
there.
and stuff, yeah.
We just keep hearing that over and over, I didn't find somebody, I don't have somebody. How are we gonna put that to rest? Are we just gonna leave that up to it's one of the many mysteries of the world and move on? Like, what are we doing there? We can't find
That's
it.
ball in my court, Michelle, with our staffing in the summer right now.
Well, we at least have to get the sprinkler working again, before the start of school.
Is it not working?
Right, it's off. It's been off.
You come up with a date?
We have it off right now. We have.
Well, I'll have
It's been
to
off.
let you know when the best time is.
It's just that
I want to
big.
get information from Joe on the railings first.
So TBD. Motion to adjourn. Want to do that?
Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion.
Second. All in favor?
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.